Shalom Yashrala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real quick, which says Russia is fighting the West and Ukraine. Sugoi. All right, it says the Russian defense minister says the U.S.-led military bloc, which is NATO. All right, we go into this all the time about the horde that rideth upon the beast. All right, hey, look at how it's the scriptures say, Habakkuk 2:3. The vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Look at how these visions are speaking. Look at how the prophecies are speaking. It says the Russian defense minister says U.S.-led military bloc. All right, when we speak about that, that's what the horde that rideth upon the beast, right, has sent personnel to its front lines, right. And now this is something that's been, when you read these articles like this, like how many times are y'all gonna keep saying the same old thing and how do I put it? You keep saying the same old thing, but not quite acting on it. Some people would say that, but then in reality, you go back, a while back, all the way up until now, you look at the fact of, Russia, not to say these nations, but Russia is pretty much having mercy on you right about now, man. Having mercy on you simple ass Americans. Ultimately, spiritually, this is, the hearts, men's going is of the Lord. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So hey, he's the one directing the paths of these things. But, in a carnal sense, look at Russia. They over here pleading with you people, man. Hey, man, get your shit together, man. Because look, just like how y'all have that Article 5, if anybody's trying to attack NATO or any member of NATO, all of NATO will come out to defend it. Like, well, look, shit, if anybody try to attack us or, if anybody is at war with us and you aiding them, then, just like here in America, man, you becoming an accomplice, man. Jimmy didn't rob the damn liquor store or the jewelry store down the block. You know what I'm saying? And his getaway plan got fucked up, and he didn't call you up because he seen you pass around the corner real quick, even though you didn't plan on going to the robbery with him. You know what I'm saying? You didn't plan none of this shit with him. He just happened to call you out the blue after the robbery was already started, right? And you went and got hopped in the car with him, and you took him off somewhere, and then y'all get caught by the police. Guess what? You're going to be charged with accessory, all right? You're going to be charged with aiding and abetting, all right? You're going to be charged with helping this nigga out, all right? So, hey, what do you think is going on here? All right. It says Russian Defense Minister Sergei Sugoi has pointed to the presence of NATO staff, officers, and other specialists on the front lines in the ongoing conflict with Ukraine, on top of the almost $100 billion worth of pledged weapons and supplies from the bloc's members. Now, hey, that's enough grounds, like I just gave you the accessory, right? There's the grounds for all of that right there, man. Like, you didn't got caught. Like, wait a minute, we didn't caught you. This nigga done called you up. You went in and you turned around. We got you on camera picking this nigga up, all right, and helping him flee the scene of a crime, all right? Or he didn't kill somebody somewhere else. Then he called you up after the nigga died already and calling you to help him pick the dead nigga up and put him in your car to go move his body somewhere to help you bury the body. Well, I didn't kill him. Yeah, but you helped bury the nigga. Like, you helped in the crime. Like, you part of the shit too, right? It says Russia's armed forces are presently facing allied forces of the West. Right. And that's the point that, I wanted to get at. It's like, hey, man, they over here having mercy upon you right now because they got the go ahead, the green light. Like, they saying stuff that's not being contested. Like, not that you can contest this anyway, because, hey, like, it's the fact of the matter of, hey, man, we know y'all out there. We know that this is what y'all have going on. We know y'all. It's not a secret that the U.S. and NATO is arming the Ukraine and helping them and sending all this here aid. There's no secret to that, man. So it's like, it says Russian armed forces are presently facing allied forces of the West. So they basically already at World War III. But this was going to ultimately drag them out there. All right. It says, let me just start back over. Russia's armed forces are presently facing allied forces of the West, Sugoi has said on Wednesday at a meeting of the top military commanders in Moscow. The U.S. and its allies supply the Kiev regime with weapons, train its soldiers, provide intelligence, dispatch advisors and mercenaries, and wage an information and sanction war against us, right? And it's funny that they talk about that information war. I see there's been like, I think 2 different channels I used to watch, military type channels and things like that, where man, they've come to been known now, been how I say outed as pretty much propaganda pieces. All right, just off the sheer shit that they be saying. I'm like, I ain't no expert, but you know what I'm saying? If I was a betting man, I'm just looking at the fact, like, you know what I'm saying? It'll look like, I ain't see him beat his ass. But what I'm like, I ain't the smartest man in the world, but I heard some tussling going on in the background. Now, this nigga come out, he got a black eye and a bloody nose, and it was just them two in the elevator. So I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? But I'm willing to bet that he whooped his ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that this is what happened. You know, he ain't the smartest man. I seen when they got on the elevator, everything was fine. The elevator never stopped. Now the elevator opened up, homeboy leaking with a black eye. It's just them two. I mean, what you want me to tell you happened, right? So it says, Sugoi said NATO countries have so far expended. That's a lot. All right. Expended more than $97 billion on weapons deliveries in order to make up for what is described as considerable losses inflicted on the Ukraine military by Russian forces, in which, like I said, that propaganda channel and everything, they would have you believe, right, on the contrary, that, oh, Russia's outdated, their equipment is obsolete, it's old, it's raggedy, it's falling apart, and they can't win against the Ukraine, they're struggling. They were supposed to wipe out the Ukraine in a week. But look, you're not fighting the Ukraine, you're fighting basically NATO and the EU in Ukraine. That's what people aren't looking at, man. All right, it's the opposite way, man. You ain't got nobody resupplying Russia. You got the West and everybody else bailing out to Ukraine. It says NATO staff officers, artillery personnel, and other specialists are present in the zone of combat operations. The defense minister added, more than 500 satellites are working to provide intelligence to the Ukrainian military, of which only 70 are purely military and the rest are dual purpose, according to Sugoi. Multiple Western officials from U.S. President Joe Biden and NATO Secretary General Hans Stoltenberg on down have said that they are backing Ukraine in order to weaken Russia and that Moscow must not be allowed to win, while insisting that they are not a party to the conflict. And this is the how you call it, the hypocrisy of America. All right, you can again going into the horde that rideth upon the beast. So the beast is pretty much only in this sense, it's only responsible. You can't say, oh, your car ran me over. No, nigga, you ran me over with your car. The car ain't gonna just go run somebody over in this sense. You know what I'm saying? We hey, look, the car being driven by you, right? So it says, where were we at? It says the U.S. military is alone. Going back up, I want to read this part. It says, while assisting, I got to go up. Basically, it's saying that NATO and the U.S. all right, or taking part in weakening Russia. But it says, while insisting that they're not a party to the conflict, in which this is the whole scenario right here. Because if they was to acknowledge that, then I mean, you already got the grounds for World War III that's popped off already. We already there with the information war, Cold War that's going on. You just don't have the hot war, which you have a warm war going on with the proxies right now, right? But then when you have the hot war with America versus Russia, American troops versus Russian troops right now. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, you've had this conflict that went on beforehand. I forgot what year it was, but basically, this is how you get Al Qaeda formed. All right, the Mujahideen with the fight with Russia. All right, America was arming, basically, I believe it was Al Qaeda, or it was Al Qaeda they had armed, to fight with Russia. It was a proxy war. All right, but things died back down and everything. But now you have this full blown, well, not full blown, but this warm war about to explode into a hot war. All right, because Russia's over here pleading with you. Hey, man, y'all need to back up. Y'all need to talk to your mans and them, because if y'all don't want to become a nuclear pile of ash, talk to your mans and them, because we don't want to push the button, but y'all are leaving us with no choice. All right. This is why the initial weapons shipments include small arms and portable anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles. NATO countries have since sent Ukraine tanks, fighter jets, drones, rockets, and tube artillery, as well as more complex air defenses. Russia has repeatedly warned the U.S. and its allies that such shipments could lead to a direct confrontation between Moscow and NATO, and accused the West of prolonging the conflict and causing needless deaths in Ukraine. And this is what you really have going on. So like I said, this is pretty much a cry from Russia pleading with the American population, hey, to get right, or you're going to inevitably take that nuclear bath, which this is what the Lord has slated for you anyway. All right. So let's jump to some precepts real quick. I want to start here in Habakkuk 2:5. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by one, in a sense of, being NATO members, NATO, that, how I'll put it, that NATO package. Hey, you can come join NATO and you can get the benefit of having security. You don't have to have rogue nations like Russia running up in your doorsteps, and we'll all come out to your defense, and it's going to make it easier for you to trade and everything else like that. But what they don't tell you, once you sober up, is, but we also reserve the right to put a military base in your country, which already come with it. That's just in the front line. But we decide to start a conflict with our own opponents for our own benefit and our own gain. Meaning we're going to use your spot for the battleground. We're not going to come and fuck up our house. We're going to go fuck up your house. You know what I'm saying? like having a friend group. Yeah, we'll let you be our friend group. You come hang out with us and come to our parties and everything else like that. But see, what they don't tell you is explicitly, yeah, you can come to all of our parties, but all the parties we're gonna throw, these wild ass parties that you hear about us having and everything, yeah, we finna throw these parties at your house and fuck up your furniture in your house, get you evicted from your house. We're not doing this at my house. No, 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 no. We're doing this at your house. But see, that's what these nations don't realize, man. All right, and if go ask these Ukrainians how they feel about this, not they presidents and shit like that. Those are them puppets. But go ask them Ukrainian people how they like living under these where they got to be constantly, not to say they have to be constantly economically be bailed out because it's just money being siphoned into the pockets of these politicians over here. The everyday ass Ukrainian over there, they going through economic collapses right about now, man. They can't afford a goddamn thing over there right now. Plus, not to mention, you got war going on. You got and it's psychologically fucking them up because they at war with their own people right about now, and you might have some aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents on the other side of the border where bombs is flying back and forth, back and forth. How the hell, you go with these things, man? All right, let's just say Texas was to succeed from America, and Texas and America going to war with one another, and then all of a sudden, it's like, man, my grandmama and them live over there. They over there bombing shit out. Of course, I want to see my side win, but then at what cost did the other side lose and all my peoples get killed over there? Like, we don't want to see that happen. So, hey, this is what you have going on. All right, this is that wine that they transgressing by, man. It sounds good when you sipping on it at first, but then when you start to sober up from it, you realize you were sold a raw deal. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man and neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and as death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, and the reason that he gathered unto him all these nations, in the NLT it says, in their greed have they gathered up many nations and swallowed many people. All right, and what that's going into is to them resources, man. All right, in their greed have they done this. They want to go over there and get that pipeline set up in the Ukraine and everything else like that, and they don't give a fuck if they got to go and rape, rob, and murder these other people over here, and all these deaths have to take place. As long as they getting money at the end all be all, how they say the ends justify the means or whatever the little saying is. It's like, look, I know what I'm doing right now is bad, but the ends justify all these different things. All right, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunted proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, and so hey, this is going out. You see, America keep trying to, or they say NATO, but it's America. The horde that rides upon the beast that's pushing for expansion of NATO, man. More and more countries. We need to fast track this here approval for y'all to get up in the NATO. We need more and more members of NATO. All right, hey, you increasing that which is not hit. That ain't your country, man. You all up in ex-USSR territories, swallowing up those old, Soviet states. All right, and put them into your conglomeration of nations, man. All right, it says, and how long and how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, it says you've become rich by extortion. All right, but how long with him that ladeth himself with thick clay, that thick debt? Talking about spending hundreds of billions of dollars over here in the Ukraine while economically America is falling. Now we know spiritually all this is being orchestrated to bring in that MOTB, but just looking at it, some of these so-called wise men that would be here in Babylon the Great, they should be looking around like, wait a minute, why are we spending all this? We can't afford shit over here. Why are we sending all this money over there? We need to worry about our own problem. We need to worry about freeing up these people that's over here that's living up under oppression. But see, this is not the trajectory that they want to go on under, man. All right. But it says, but this is how a lot of these other nations are worried about. How y'all going to be, I forgot what nation it was it might have been Russia that called America out for hypocrisy. Like, how you going to be policing the world and talking about humanitarian crimes against humanity, more or less to say. All right, and you over here killing people in your own country. Y'all got a problem with quote unquote the Black Lives Matter. The police is killing all these niggas out here and everything. Y'all talking about what other niggas is doing in their countries. Why don't y'all worry about what's going on at home first before you worry about what we got going on, right? It says, shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them. All right, and this is what these nations have you in the scope for. Let me read the next verse real quick. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. There's a precept I want to try to find real quick that goes along with that. It's further down. I want to say it's like verse 18 or something. No, it's not this far down. Hang on. Or maybe it's in Isaiah. Let me look over here real quick. Was it 5 or 13? Let me see if I can find it. I might have to look this up. Maybe it's 13. Let's look over here. If not, I have to look it up. No, it's not. That's not here. Oh, here, yeah. Call all Yahweh Hashem Shah. Isaiah 13 and 17. All right, now going back to Habakkuk 2. All right, speaking about how because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. This is Isaiah 13 and let me see if I want to read this in NLT. Well, I will. Let me start at verse 14, but I'm gonna read this in NLT. All right. Let me come back to this real quick. Let me read that again. Habakkuk 2, 6 and 7. All right, or 7 and 8. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and all the city that dwell therein. All right, so let's go back, Isaiah 13 and 14. All right, it says, let me read this in the NLT. It says, and everyone in Babylon will run about like a hunted gazelle, like a sheep without a shepherd. They will try to find their own people and flee into their own land. All right, they go back to a couple years back where that message came across people's text messages saying that there was an incoming nuke to Hawaii, right? You seen people running around. They was looking like a damn gazelle running from a damn lion or a beast. Verse 15, anyone who is captured will be cut down, run through us with the sword. All right. Or let me read that in the KJV. Everyone that shall be found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So, hey, if you have not, departed from this here way of life over here, man, and you want to still be cleaving to these damn Edomites, you're going to die a death with them. Verse 16, their little children will be dashed to death. Now, remember, we're reading about, we're going into, World War III, nuclear war, going into Habakkuk 2 about how, because I have spoiled these many people, all the remnant of the people are going to spoil you, and it's going to be being led by the Russians, right? Verse 16, their little children will be dashed to death before their eyes, their homes will be sacked, and their wives will be, we'll just say ravished, right? But you see the word that's right there, all right? It says, now, where is that at? In Revelation, we can grab that after this. Isaiah 13 and 17, this is, I got to grab that first. Let's go to Revelation real quick. Revelation 18 and, what is it, 6? Yeah, 18 and 6, just to the point. Man, let me start at verse 5. It says, Revelation 18 and 5. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquity, speaking about Babylon the Great. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she had filled, fill to her double. So reward her as she rewarded you, double unto her for what she's done unto you. So the things you've been doing to these other nations is going to be done unto you, right? Matter of fact, I could read all this, but let me just read these next two verses. Verse 7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahweh power who judgeth her. So going into here, hey, she's going to be doubled what she's wound up doing. to these other nations, right? Going back to this Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 13 and 16 in the NLT, right? It says, their little children will be dashed to death. Let me read that in the KJV. Their children shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. The houses shall be spoiled, their wives ravished, right? It says, let me read this in the NLT, just the point. Verse 17, look, I will stir up the Medes against Babylon, right? So this is Russia against America. They cannot be tempted by silver or bribed by gold, right? So now let's go back to Habakkuk. All right. Now Habakkuk 2 and 7 and 8, it says, let me read this in the KJV. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and all that dwell therein. All right, so now going back to what we was just reading about rewarding her double as she rewarded you, and how the king of the Medes was not going to delight in silver. You're not going to be able to pay him off. He's not going to be tempted with these things, man. All right, when they go back to reward you like you rewarded them, you over there bombing over there indiscriminately. All right, you're seeing a lot of civilian things getting torn up and everything else like that. They're not bombing military bases, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, Russia's hitting military stockpiles and stuff like that. But the flip side, you're seeing apartment buildings getting blown up and everything else like that. They say, oh, Russia's doing that. But, hey, we know who is really behind these agendas, who does things like this, man. You know, and this is Esau all the way through and through. You go look at World War I and World War II, you damn near had more civilians died in World War I and World War II than you had military people who died in the same damn war. Like, what kind of shit is that? All right, but here in Babylon the Great, man, we just read about how the wives was gonna be ravished, the house was gonna be spoiled, the children gonna be cut asunder into pieces. They're not gonna be discriminated, because right now they having mercy on you. Hey, man, get your mans in them, pleading with these people, stop with all this stuff that y'all got going on. But what do you think of the American population as a whole is doing? Let's support Ukraine. Prayers for Ukraine, donations for Ukraine. You know what that money and the prayers and all the stuff that you like, well, the money that you're sending over to Ukraine and all that support you're sending for Ukraine is doing is bombing little children and wives and women and people who live in regular lives over there, man. All right, so the things that you think that you're supporting is such good things to do is actually just building up for your own tab for in the end game goal, man. All right, because right now, well, we just read about how they're not going to be tempted with silver or gold. Right now, they so-called, and again, this is carnally speaking, because we know that, you know, they're all being moved by the Most High. But right now, they're how do I say, pleading with you people right now. It's like, look, you know, you guys are you know, back in this country that we're at war with and everything else like that. And we don't want, you know, anybody who is aiding and abetting these people, man, y'all going to be guilty right along with them, man. All right, so hey, as long as you American citizens don't see no problem with the things that's going on over here, nobody's gonna come to your aid, man. The hindermost part of the nations, how does that say that? You know, none of the nations gonna come for. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I don't want to make this too long, but Isaiah 14:4 says, "Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, How has the oppressor ceased, and the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth." All right. So hey, ain't nobody coming out to save your ass, man. Nobody's gonna try to stop and break these things up. Now, real quick before we close it, I don't want to make this too long. But going into these things about, hey, you over here arming these folks, you over here backing these people, you over here hosting you know, your boy Zelensky over in America and all these different things like that, and sending your delegates over there and everything else like that. These nations are going to remember these things, like we just read in Habakkuk, man. All the remnant of the people are going to band together and spoil you. All right, you're being brought to your own end. In fact, let's go ahead and start that out in Job 18:7 in the NLT. It says, "The confident shroud of the wicked will be shortened. Their own schemes will be their downfall. Their own doing is going to be what's going to cause them to get caught up into their own traps, their own snares, their own hook in the jaw type thing, man." Verse 8, it says, "For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and shall bring him to the king of terrors, and it shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. All right, so hey, this is only going to bring you to your end game goal, man. All right, to the Lord and his weapons of his indignation is going to be shot off on your ass, being led by Russia and these other nations, man. But see, this is your doings is bringing you to this here point, man. And you know, the majority of you people out here in Babylon, you don't even see this shit, man. You out here got blue and yellow flags all in your mailbox, bumper stickers and everything else like that, man. Hey, when I see shit like that, I'm like, yeah, the Lord is he probably gonna have one of them damn warheads land right on your ass. You know what I'm saying? To show your ass what is really, or maybe you don't even make it that far. Maybe he have like, you know, some type of armed conflict come out and these soldiers come over here and ravish your ass. All right, like, you know, what you've been supporting with this American military, man. All right, you know, if you, and I'll just say this and close out, man. If you support that American military, man, you're the number one supporter, or you're a supporter of the number one terrorist group in the whole world, man. All right, you know, these Edomites being at the head of that. But hey, what do they use? The American military and their subsidiaries to go along with this, because contrary to popular belief, you know, you have not the United States of America, but you have the American Empire, right? And this is what's going on around the globe. It's like we just read about the hammer of the whole earth, man. But nevertheless, I just want to touch in on this about how, you know, this here article is these articles, they speak on these same things, man. All right, so we can see how this here snare is being laid. Well, America has laid a snare, which is going in and arming the Ukraine, and not just the Ukraine, but same thing is going on over there with Taiwan. All right, you know, and we've been speaking about these things, but, you know, some people were catching on. They probably had to stop that for a little bit. But, hey, when you talk about the conflict with China, you'll hear people start speaking on this. Oh, they're communists. They have dictators over there and all these things. They're just evil people. Like you hear about the Vladimir Putin situation. I hear people trying to explain what's going on. Well, Putin and Russia, they decided they wanted to hijack Ukraine and everything else like that. And so America had to stop them from stealing it. Like, well, y'all don't remember how America went over there and overthrew their government. That's not a secret. That's not a conspiracy. Like, that's actually known. It's documented. It's in court documents and everything. They overthrew their government. Now they over here arming Ukraine, and now they over here trying to invade Russia. And America's stance right now is that Russia can't win. Russia can no longer exist. We need regime change in Russia. This was your plan from the beginning. All right, but this is going to ultimately lead to your demise. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us his truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.